It is May 11th, 1985, 2:45 p.m. A Saturday that had all the makings of a perfect footballing day in West Yorkshire. Valley Parade shimmered in the early afternoon light, and the old timber stand, known and loved despite its creaks, was packed to the rafters. Nearly 12,000 fans filled the ground, many in claret and amber, waving scarves, grinning, embracing. This was a day for joy. Bradford City were champions of Division 3. Promotion was sealed. At long last, they were going up. Peter Jackson, the stoic Bradford City captain, hoists the trophy in the air to an eruption of joy from the home crowd. A break in tradition celebrating before kick-off, but no one cares. This was their day as a team, a club, a city. Flags fluttered, children hoisted onto shoulders. Grown men stood with tears in their eyes, not from sorrow, but pride. The club had been through decades in the wilderness, and now they were climbing again. Cheers echoed as the players took the field, a sea of colour and hope swelling in the stands. On the pitch, a routine end-of-season fixture against Lincoln City. But for the home side, this was more than a match. It was a coronation. The game kicked off at 3 p.m. sharp. There was a looseness to it, a festival feel. The result didn't matter. Not really. This was a party. Even coming up to half-time at 0-0, the feel-good vibe had not lessened. The Bantams were here for the party. Around 40 minutes in, something shifted. Commentator Peter Drury called it first from the opposite Midland Road stand. He noticed a strange flicker, over to the right of the stand, near the back rows. A wisp of smoke, too thin at first to cause alarm, curling upward like the tail of a snake.
We've actually got a fire in the stand on the far side of the ground, and that looks very nasty indeed. Now the police have gone over there to try and quell the fire, and they're frantically getting some of the supporters out.
The police were the first to react. They moved quickly but calmly, waving people down from the stands and onto the pitch. Their hands motioned firmly but not frantically. It was still, in those first moments, something surreal, almost comical. Some fans laughed nervously as they hopped over rows of seats. Fathers scooped up sons. Elderly men, holding scarves over their mouths, shuffled along with wide eyes. The tannoy crackled a warning about a small fire, nothing more. It felt like something to joke about later. A strange blip on an otherwise perfect day. Promotion had been sealed. The game barely mattered. Lincoln City fans stood politely at the other half of the pitch, bewildered. But then the wind changed. It came in, unusually, from the west, cutting right across the stand, from the small fire at the rear, and driving the smoke beneath the wooden canopy, across the underside of the stand from right to left. People began to cough, wave their hands in front of their faces. Still, some were smiling. Still some believed it would be dealt with, like these things always were. This stand, the main stand at Valley Parade, had served its purpose for decades. It was patched, tired, dry as straw, but it had only one job left, to last another 45 minutes. Just until the final whistle.
Now these are extraordinary scenes at Valley Parade. It's supposed to be a day of celebration. One hopes the stand doesn't burn down. And the game has obviously had to stop. Saw the smoke about a minute ago, but now that fire is beginning to rage.
But the fire was quicker. It caught suddenly and completely. The timbers, dry, old and dust-filled, didn't smoulder, they exploded. Fire raced across the rafters with a roar. What had been smoke became flame, licking downward and outward in seconds. The canopy above began to glow, then dripped molten plastic and burning debris onto the seats below. That's when the crowd changed.
And the 2,500 people in that stand are panicking. They are frantic to get out. And these are disastrous scenes for the club. One can feel the heat. And that is a catastrophic sight for Bradford City Football Club.
The laughing stopped. The smiles froze. The air grew thick, black, hard to breathe. Some fans were still halfway down the steps when the fire reached them. People pushed forward, calling for children, for friends, for air. The sense of fun of the spectacle vanished. The heat hit them like a wall. The smoke wrapped around them like a clawed hand. The fire turned on them like a cornered dog, wild, vicious, unpredictable. Within seconds, the police were no longer guiding, they were dragging. Some officers ran into the smoke to pull fans out. The pitch filled with people, but it was not celebration now. It was escape. A man with his jacket on fire rolled across the grass. A child cried out for his father. People rushed to the rear of the stand, sensing a quicker exit from the torment. And above them all, one of the 4 horsemen of the apocalypse paused for just a moment, surveying the panic. Then the roof collapsed. Through the smoke, a fan saw him first, a figure emerging from the black haze at the front of the main stand.
And look at that! Oh, the poor man! Oh, this is awful! The police desperately trying to save the life of a supporter. He'd come to watch the football. This is human tragedy.
At first he didn't seem real, a man emerging calmly, almost gently. He moved like a man strolling through a park on a summer's afternoon, arms at his side, head raised slightly. But he was on fire. Flames danced over his back, wrapped around his arms and shoulders. His clothes had become fuel. The air around him shimmered with heat. But still, he walked. Those who saw him never forgot. He made it onto the pitch, steps purposeful but slow, shock embedded in his every movement. His skin was blistered, his breath ragged, but his face was strangely peaceful. Not from serenity, but from disassociation. The mind had stepped away, perhaps to protect him. His nerves had stopped registering the pain. He wasn't screaming, he wasn't running, he was walking, and that made it even worse. A police officer sprinted toward him, a fan too. They threw jackets, tackled him to the ground, beat the flames with scarves and jackets. But the fire had done its work. The heat had sunk past skin and into muscle. The damage was bone deep. He didn't die there on the pitch. He made it to the infirmary. He made it through the chaos and the ambulance ride, through the crowds of people searching for loved ones, the smell of burning still lingering in the corridors of the hospital. But that night, his body gave out. Too much tissue destroyed, too many systems shutting down. He died, nameless to many, unforgettable to all who saw him. That fire at Valley Parade lasted just 4 minutes. That was all it took to turn a wooden stand into a furnace. 54 from Bradford City, 2 from Lincoln City.
10 minutes ago, we were looking at a football game. I now look at a sad and tragic sight. The ambulance is beginning to arrive, and the stand is almost gone. The roof of the stand must surely cave in any minute now. And the flames are in fact on the side of the pitch. Policemen's helmets strewn everywhere. Bits of the roof of the stand are strewn everywhere as well. And at the moment there is calm, but most of the people on the pitch simply can't believe it. They just do not know what to do or where to go. The heat, the blaze is quite astonishing, and look at that for a picture. It's the saddest sight one could imagine.
The aftermath was an open wound across Bradford, shock rippling far beyond Valley Parade. In just 4 minutes, a football celebration had turned into the worst fire disaster in English football history. 56 lives lost, families, fathers shielding sons, old people unable to move quick enough, and some, like the man who walked calmly through the flames, already beyond rescue. An inquiry followed, chaired by Sir Oliver Popplewell. It aimed to understand how it happened, why it happened, and what needed to change. It revealed a catalogue of neglect, the timber stand, the build-up of litter beneath the stand, newspapers, crisp packets, decades of forgotten waste. All it took was a stray cigarette. The inquiry led to changes in stadium safety across the country. Wooden stands were condemned, fire safety regulations rewritten, and emergency procedures overhauled. It was too late for those 56 souls, but their memory changed football forever. And still, the town remembers. Memorials stand not just in stone, but in silences, in annual services, in the empty seats left behind. It's not just a part of Bradford's past, it's stitched into its present. The fire isn't just a tragedy, it's a story of loss and of resilience, a warning, a remembrance. It is the 3rd of May 2024, coming up on the 40th anniversary of the disaster. A Valley Parade stands silent, remembering the victims of 4 decades ago, impeccably observed by the home fans as well as the 420 Fleetwood fans that have made the journey for the final game of the season. This year, the atmosphere is different, promotion not guaranteed. Bradford City have been hanging around the automatic promotion places since January. The fans know disappointment in this part of the world, never daring to get their hopes up. All Bradford need to do is win, then Walsall, their nearest rivals, are ruled out and destined for the playoffs. On paper, mid-table, Fleetwood had little to fight for beyond pride. And with Bradford boasting the best home record in the division, it seemed a formality. But nothing ever comes easy at Valley Parade. Early on it was Fleetwood who threatened to spoil the party. Matty Virtue nearly stunned the home crowd, denied only by a sharp Sam Walker save that kept Bradford's hopes intact. At the other end, Callum Kavanagh's powerful header rattled the crossbar. So close, yet not quite. As the minutes ticked by, anxiety gripped the stadium. Then came the gut punch. News filtered through that Walsall had taken the lead in the 59th minute at Crewe. The crowd, once buoyant, was silenced into tension. Bradford, despite their dominance in possession, struggled to find the cutting edge. Nerves were fraying both in the stands and on the pitch. Manager Graham Alexander rolled the dice. Defender Jack Shepherd was pushed forward in desperation. He came agonisingly close, his volley smashing against the post.
Ahead of Lapsley. Kavanagh was in there as well. Oh, for him and a goal. Halliday. It's still there for Bradford. Lapsley. Shepherd. It won't find its way through. They're claiming handball.
Sarkovic then looked certain to score, but somehow blazed over from mere yards out.
That could have gone anywhere. Half of added time elapsed. Here's Halliday. Calling for it was Shepherd. Decent curl on it. Back in by Lee. And over. Oh, the chance. Anthony Sarkovic. He can't believe it. Exactly where Bradford wanted the ball to fall.
The dream looked like it might die a cruel death. And then, 96 minutes, time almost up. A mishit shot from Lapsley bobbled through the area, a half chance at best. But Antoni Sarkovic, the promotion specialist himself, stuck out a leg and diverted the ball into the back of the net.
Lapsley, deflected and in! League One is calling their name. 6 long years. Delight for Bradford City.
The stadium erupted. Fans spilled onto the pitch in an outpouring of emotion, 40 years in the making. Promotion. Secured. And fittingly, nearly 4 decades to the day since the tragic fire at Valley Parade, Bradford had a reason to come together again, not in mourning, not this time, but in celebration. Manager Graham Alexander, newly crowned League Two Manager of the Year, had pulled off a remarkable turnaround. When he arrived in November 2023 to replace Mark Hughes, the club sat 12th. By Christmas, a dismal 3-0 loss at Notts County left them floundering. But then came the transformation. A club record 10 straight home wins, an unbreakable spirit, and the emergence of Valley Parade as a fortress once more. Even without top scorer Andy Cook, sidelined since New Year's Day, Bradford found a way. Reduced ticket prices brought the crowds, and the team responded, none more so than in front of a record-breaking 23,381 fans in the spring run-in. And so, 17 home wins later, with just 2 victories in their last 10 heading into the final day, the Bantams found their hero and their moment. The celebrations didn't stop at full-time. A week later, Centenary Square was filled with claret and amber, with fans singing long into the night. But this wasn't just about football. This was about Bradford, a city set to shine in 2025 as the UK City of Culture, a city remembering its past, embracing its present, and finally looking to the future with pride. This promotion means everything, to the club, to the players, to the fans, and to the city they all call home.
The excitement has got too much for some. And they're going to need to clear the field of play. It fell to Lapsley. And the most fortunate of touches. Right at the end of the game. They could hardly have left it any later. And scenes of pure joy. Everybody calling for the whistle now. And they thought they'd already had it. All waiting for the same thing here. There it is! It's called promotion! Bradford City will play League One football from August. And didn't they do it the hard way?